Hey guys, Kevin here to bring you a brand new video where today we're going to be going in depth about a movie that I just recently reviewed called Deep Red. And we're going to be talking in detail about this movie's release history because it really does have quite a lot to it with the languages that it's in and what was cut from it and which cut is the best and whatnot. So this movie was shot without sync sound, which means that the words that you're hearing are not the words that you're seeing being said on screen. It's actually words that are dubbed over because of the fact that there had to be dubbed over parts for both English and Italian for whatever reason, and they couldn't just use the original. I don't know why, but all of the cast spoke English except for like one person. But yeah, they had to dub both of them in English and Italian. And with that came, the original version. But then, like, for American audiences, that version had to be cut. So, as a result of that, a lot of the film was cut down, like, with like violence and stuff and, horrific stuff. And because of that, many of the scenes in the movie are omitted that were supposed to be in English. So if you want to watch the full cut of the movie, you have to watch a lot of it in Italian. And it's a pretty big noticeable difference because, the original restored full version is 126 minutes and the cut down English version is like 20 minutes shorter. And so, with this, it's like both versions, are problematic, and I was conflicted with both versions at first. And this version that I have is a version that was released on Arrow Video, which is the 126-minute version, which is like, it feels more like definitive because it has more like footage, which is great and all, but the problem is that you can't view it fully in English, which, to be honest, like, I get that, like, it's an Italian film, so technically, like, if you view it in Italian, then it feels like you're watching the original film, but technically this film was shot in English, so it would feel more original to watch it in English. And the thing about it also is that the main actor in this, David Hemmings, actually spoke English himself in this film. So the voice that you hear in this film of David Hemmings, Marcus Daly, is actually David Hemmings. He is the only one in the movie that actually spoke and that you could heard and that you could hear. Everyone else is dubbed over. So in some ways, if you're watching the English version, you're kind of watching the original thing because what you're hearing from that character is original, and the English stuff is more or less like true to like how it was shot, since it was shot mostly in English. But with this, for reasons, the real parts of this movie, a core important amount of this movie was only shot in Italian. So you kind of have this conflict here where it's like, well, if I want to see the more important version, then I gotta watch it with Italian. And this whole thing brings up an interesting debate because it's like, do you want to watch the film in full Italian and just full Italian subtitles, nothing else? Or do you want to get the English parts in there? Because I chose to get it with the English parts. I thought it was good to have the English parts. Because, like, if you're watching it in Italian, it doesn't really feel like you're watching the real thing anyways, because the Italian that you hear is not the Italian that they're speaking. It's just dubbed over Italian. It's not actually the actors that are speaking like that sound like that. I mean, same can be said for the English for a lot of it, but at this point, like, you might as well just say, screw it, I'll just watch what sounds good to me. I'll just watch the English one. But then comes the weird thing about it, is that, like, you choose to watch it in English, but some of it a core amount of it is not in English, and it's like in like weird places too, where it's like, people will literally be talking in English, and then all of a sudden they'll start speaking Italian, and it's very, very like quick switch. It's like super. It's not like, oh, there's this one scene in Italian, and then there's this one scene in English. No, it's like they'll literally be like having like back and forth dialogue, and then it will like switch to Italian, and you're like, what? And it's just like so different, when to go from like someone talking in English to like someone suddenly speaking Italian. Like it tonally sounds different with like, how people like come across, like how they're conveying their emotions. Like often there were times where I find like, English sound more like toned down and like laid back, but when it switched to Italian, it's more like, I don't know, aggressive and louder almost, at certain times, and sometimes it would be like vice versa. But ultimately, the thing to know about this is that like this is the version to own. It's a pain in the ass to get this version because it's $30, but this is the version to own. It's 126 minutes long. It has, like everything in the film that you need to see, compared to the cut down, lesser English version, which interestingly enough is a version that Dario Argento himself cut down, probably because he thought, I need to cut this down so I can appeal better to American audiences, because if I keep this like horrible stuff in here, it's not going to appeal to the Americans. So I guess that was his thinking behind it. But at the same time, they do consider this to be the director's cut, even though, there's another quote-unquote director's cut that's shorter than this. So, yeah. But yeah, watch this version, but then, the problem is, like, how do you watch it? I mean, I guess if you're really just trying to, like, stay consistent and, like, I guess in a way you're holding true to form, but, like, not really, you could just watch it just in Italian, if you want it to be just more like, one language, like very straightforward, nothing like mixed around. But then you could also watch it in this Italian-English hybrid where, you get a lot of that original English dubbed audio. But then it's like weird because it's not English sometimes. This just like fascinates me. I've never seen a case like this like happen in a movie, and supposedly some movies were done like this. Like movies would be like shot without sync sound, meaning like the dialogue that's recorded on screen is not the dialogue that you're hearing. It's dubbed over later on in post production. Like there's actors who voice these people that you see on screen, not those people voicing them. So I guess supposedly that was like common, and they would do it so they could have like multiple languages. But it's just like I absolutely love this film, but like I really just wish they could have just like picked a side on this. Like if you're not gonna like embrace being fully English, just go full Italian. Or like I don't know, this movie is caught in like such a weird middle ground, and I kind of see why, because like it's right in between like Suspiria and like Dario Argento's earlier stuff where it was all Italian. Like he was like running on this line where it was like he was starting to like cross over into like more of the English stuff. This film is like that transition to that. Deep Red really holds an interesting place in film history, for being one of the most bizarre and unique movies with its release history, I gotta say. So yeah, that's my video on that. I just thought it would be really cool to go in depth on that. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like if you have, and I'll see you guys in the next video.